Hey, it's Ben, back for another quick list of useful tips and changes you should know in Diablo 2 Resurrected Reimagined. First up, Rune and Jewel Pliers. I showed them a bit in a previous video, but let me show them here again. Pliers can be bought from any blacksmith and exist in order to remove items from sockets. So here we have Rune Pliers and Jewel Pliers. Jewel Pliers will remove socketed items from anything that is not a rune word, and Rune Pliers remove anything from the sockets, including rune words. Let's give it a go here. So I have this Griffin's Eye with a jewel and a gem, and I want to remove it, so I'll use a Jewel Plier. And there we go, we have them back. That's the Jewel Plier. And then Rune Pliers, since they remove everything, they can unmake rune words. So I have a Humility rune word here. I'll just hit transmute, and now it's not a Humility anymore. They are a bit pricey, but gold isn't really an issue in general. Next up, Sunder charms set the res of immune monsters to 95, effectively sundering their resist. These charms only drop in Nightmare and Hell terror zones from any champion, unique, or super unique monster. So they come with a downside, adding a negative to the player as well. However, with the crafting recipe, you can use the Sunders to craft a Grand Charm with that affix. So here we have a Physical Sunder crafted, and then a Lightning Sunder crafted. Some good places to farm are Act 1 Catacombs 4, Endarial, and Tower 1 to 5 where Countess is, Act 2 Tombs and Ancient Tunnel, Act 3 Trav or Meph, basically the Council is really good to farm, Act 4 Chaos Sanctuary or Isuel or Hephaesto if you're brave and like a challenge, and Act 5 Shank and all his lieutenants, or Baal Throne Waves and Baal himself and his two lieutenants or Baal hands. Next on our list, lowering enemy resist. First, let's cover the ways to lower resist. Note that curses do not stack. So for elemental, we've got the Necromancer curse lower resist, the Paladin aura conviction, and the Druid summon Spirit of Barbs. As for physical, Spirit of Barbs actually lowers both physical and elemental resist as an aura. The Necromancer Curse Amplify Damage, the Necromancer Curse Decrepify, the Barbarian Shout Battle Cry, which is curse tagged, and the Amazon skill Inner Sight, which is not curse tagged. For magic damage, the Necromancer Curse Weaken, and the Paladin aura Sanctuary. It is important to note that lowering the resist of immune enemies only applies at 1/5 the effect, even for sundered enemies. Keep in mind that enemy resist cannot go lower than -100, just like the player resist cannot go lower than -100. Next up, the Splash Charm, otherwise known as Collin's Might. You can find this from the Den of Evil in normal difficulty. If you lose it, you can always go back and get another. It can also be upgraded. See the wiki page table here on what you need to upgrade it. The charm will apply a splash effect to your melee attacks. Not every skill can splash, like Whirlwind for example, due to it being hard-coded and unable to proc chance to cast effects. And some skills have built-in splash, like Fire Claws, or Ravens on Druid and Necromancer Skeletal Warriors. A key point to note, all of the upgrades require gem bag credits now, since the gem system was simplified in 2.0. Vanilla gems do not drop. Only turquoise named gems will. The exception is Endarial and Hellforge quest rewards can drop non-turquoise / perfect gems. Next up, the die system, which is new as of 2.0.5. You can talk to any of the gamble vendors. You just trade, and in the miscellaneous tab there are the dies. These apply to weapons, shields, helms, and body armors, and come in several colors. I've actually got a few just to show it off here, so let's do that. Say we want the shield to be black. We have Abyssal Black die. We'll transmute, and it even shows colored dye here, and now it's black. Pretty neat. Let's say we want it to be red though, and you can see flavor text color dyed infernal red. Now it's red. Let's say we want to match though, so let's make our chest red. Sweet, it's red. And we want the helm to match. Bam, red. So I've already dyed the weapon blue actually, but let's say we want to use a two-hander and we want it to be green. So we'll do that. Say we want to switch it up though, we're feeling blue. We'll do that blue. We'll do the helm blue. So that's basically the dye system. You can change colors. You can remove the dyes as well with the miraculous dye remover. Like I said, there's a few colors here, and the mod contributors want to add more effects and colors. So look forward to that in the future as well. Next up, farming runes. Let's start with the most famous rune farming method, the Countess. Her rune table in 2.0 is the following: Normal, up to a Ral rune; Nightmare, up to a Lum rune; and Hell, up to a Vex rune. Countess rune drop table has also been extended to a few other super uniques. Act 2, Halls of the Dead, Blood Witch the Wild; Act 3, Ruined Temple, the Battle Maiden Serena; Act 4, River of Flame, Hephaesto; and Act 5, Frozen River, Frozenstein. Besides Countess and other rune table holders, I usually recommend density farming. Areas like Flayer Jungle, Halls of Pain, and Cows that are easy to access and have a high monster density will be the best place to farm runes. Nightmare Terror Zones can drop up to a Cham rune, and as you should be farming Nightmare a bit before Hell, you're likely to find some useful high runes. Next, we've got Aura on Equip mechanics. So, you may have noticed that there are items like Infinity that provide an aura when equipped, in this case, Conviction. Super useful. However, there are many other items that provide auras in a similar way. It is important to note, however, that plus skill levels do not affect these auras, but they do stack with each other. For instance, let's take my current damage on my druid, attack damage of 65 to 127, and I'll give my merc a Last Wish, which has level 17 Might Aura, and now my damage is 103 to 199. A second Last Wish, which has another level 17 Might Aura, and I'll throw that on him. Now I have 135 to 261 attack damage, so the Might Auras stacked in this case. It's also useful to know that these on-equip auras benefit from synergies. Let's take Holy Fire as the next example. Here I have a Flame Rune Word, which adds level 17 Holy Fire aura when equipped. So that changes my damage to, a few hundred. So Holy Fire, if we look at the aura itself, has a synergy with Resist Fire and Salvation. So let's check the damage number, 191 to 281. We'll go to Resist Fire, we'll put 1 point into it, and then it goes up. It's also important to note that if I try to self-cast Holy Fire, the strongest aura wins. So for Holy Fire builds in particular, if you are stacking the auras on your items, you do not want any points in Holy Fire itself. Next up, Uber Charms. The Uber Charms, Hellfire Torch and Annihilus, have both received some changes. Firstly, they do not have rolls anymore. This comes with an additional upgrade path though that makes them incredibly powerful. Let's start with the Hellfire Torch. After you kill the Ubers, you will receive 3 Uber Spirits, and then you simply just cube them together, and you have a torch. You can cube the torch with a Standard of Heroes and a Corruption Orb. You then add an upgrade to it, which adds some stats. So now it's at 4 of 10. 5 of 10 should add an additional level. Here we go, plus 3. This should be 9 out of 10. And then the 10th one should transform it. It creates the Obsidian Beacon, which is quite powerful. It also turns it into a Grand Charm instead of a Large Charm. For the Annihilus Charm, you can either sell the Stone of Jordan, not to be confused with a Stone of Jordan, the +2 variant, or a Standard of Heroes to spawn D-Clone. There we go, it's a small charm. I'll identify it. Ignore my life and mana. If you carry 2 Uber Charms, your life goes to 1, and since I'm over charm weight, I have 0 mana. So here we go, I have the Annihilus as well as one of each of the orbs. We'll hit Transmute, and here we go. We now have a Black Soulstone, which has Teleport on it, which is extremely useful for a lot of builds that do not have easy access to teleport. And those are the Uber Charms. Once you've either maxed the torch to become a beacon, or somewhere along the way, you can also use Uber Spirits for other recipes. 5 Orbs of Infusion plus 1 of each Uber Spirit becomes an Orb of Conversion. Any weapon, armor, shield, an Orb of Infusion, and 1 of each of the Uber Spirits forces an item to be superior quality and elite. Any unique weapon, armor, shield, an Orb of Corruption, and one of the Uber spirits will re-roll a unique item. It is incredibly important to note that using the re-roll recipe on an item that has been up-tiered will change the item to a different unique item of that base type. Using this recipe on an item that has not been up-tiered will just re-roll the stats. It will also remove any upgrades and corruptions. Expensive, but a good way to get perfect rolls. Eventually. Hopefully you learned something, and this was helpful. See ya.